told you you're
everybody.
consistent.
I know. Consistently yicky. So, hey, it is Wednesday night, and it is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I get to add the S in because we've gone back into daylight saving time, so it is ridiculously dark. Oh my gosh, out there. That was my
I
ukulele
know.
crashing to the
But
floor.
don't you love at least like when you wake up, it's like not dark for as long as much as it gets dark earlier. Like
So, my
it's
classes don't start
sanity
till 10 a.m.
saving.
anyway. But
Okay, if you have to wake up at a normal person time, it's sanity saving. And anyone
true.
who hates daylight savings, you just live too close to the equator to get it.
Yeah, also true. Yeah, it's funny because I actually wake up quite early now, which is weird, and I don't know why. But maybe I'm just getting old and my sleep.
It's
I was
always
gonna make a joke of getting old, but
I mean, it's not a joke. It's
it's
true.
not true. No, come
I am
on,
so old.
dude.
I am as
50's not old.
old as like some of you combined.
That's
Anyway,
not true at all.
welcome everybody to Meeple Syrup. Welcome out there to everybody watching. Make sure you type in the chat. Let us know that you're here. And tonight we have two guests. Count them two. We have Kat Dreyer here, who is one of our special co-host guests for the next month. We're gonna give her a go for 4 weeks and see if she likes us enough to stay with us. And we'll have some announcements coming up at the end of the year. We are actually really close to the end of the year, which is surprising, Erica. We have 3 shows lined up, and December 14th, we needed a guest. We'll talk about that later. So if you guys out there have a guest that you'd like us to interview and have on the show, please let us know. We have Nicole Amato, from Kickstarter coming, Ming Yang Lu, a designer coming. We have a host panel on December 7th. You'll be in on that one, Kat, so be prepared to talk for 60 minutes. Maybe we'll ask you about TNN, because Kat just got back from BGG, and she was one of the participants of the Tabletop Network, which I've actually never been to, though I contribute to a lot of the parts of it. So I'd love to hear about it from a firsthand
It
perspective.
could be a fun dissection,
Yeah, we can talk about that.
I can do that.
But even more special than all of that is our guest who is here just for 1 week, and that's Danni Loe. Hey, Danni, how you doing?
Hey, Sen.
Welcome.
Hey, Erica. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, no, welcome. It's great to have you here. Now, just because you work for a bilingual company, you have to say that all in French too. It's the rules. It's the rules. We're mostly in Canada. So.
It's like Quebec law.
Oh, and also Kat does speak French as well. So.
Bonjour, Danni, ça va?
Oui, ça va bien, Kat. Merci.
Voilà, c'est fait.
Well, let's talk about why you're speaking French for those who don't know.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah.
The answer to that question, Erica, is before board games, because I actually studied to be a high school French teacher.
Yeah.
I think I did know that at some
yeah,
point.
My minor.
But hey, it rounded out perfectly all the way back around.
Yeah,
like
perfect circle.
Now, 8 years post-bachelor's, I work for a French-Canadian / French board game publisher, Hachette.
Which are kicking some pretty serious butt right now.
We're trying.
Right, let's be honest.
It's pretty funny because I don't think people know just how many copies of Hachette's games are out there.
Many companies are now actually under that
it's
fun little umbrella.
Well, how huge Hachette is in France.
Yes,
I was like, oh wow, Hachette is finally here! Hooray! Like all through French-speaking Europe, I knew them as a kid.
Oh, really?
It was a big brand. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, when I joined Hachette back in April, I had people, my friends in France, say, "Oh, you made my textbooks when I was a kid."
Yeah.
What? Board games now?
It's a fascinating thing. Like when you get over to Europe and you see what publishers make over there, most of the really big ones aren't just doing like games. They're games plus a whole bunch of other stuff.
If you're running off paper goods, and especially if you own your own factory, you may as well be pumping out extra things.
Yeah. So lots of I can't remember who it was, but it might have been Cosmos, Thames and Cosmos. They do like science stuff.
Well, they do really fun science kits. I don't think we see them as much in North America unless you go to like the toy trades. But they have these really fun like things you don't think about when you think about Cosmos, for sure.
No. And a lot of the other catalogs that I have from some of my German publishers are like, you can get all these games, but also you can get like raw scientific materials, and like
Let's blow
anything you
stuff
need for
up.
dissection kits and stuff. It's phenomenal. It's very neat.
Honestly, they make fantastic catalogs. Just I miss catalogs the way that they do them still in Europe. Maybe I think the US still gets good stuff too. Canada doesn't get any good catalogs anymore.
So, Danny, what's the most unexpected thing that Hachette does that you didn't expect them to do?
With their board games, or are we talking about Hachette?
Just in general, like
Just in general.
Hachette as a brand, what's something you didn't expect that you found out that they do, if anything?
Well, one of the co-founders of the French Canadian brand, she's actually like a TV movie star. So like the amount of people and the types of people involved are mind-blowing.
Yeah,
that's cool.
neat.
Yeah. And now I can't recall his name.
Is that Christian?
No,
no.
I wouldn't think so.
Christian is a movie star in my heart. But
I was like, I was like, that would have
more of a rock star.
That would have floored me. That's why I was like, wait. I'm like, who do I know from Scorpion Mask and stuff like that? Because I'm thinking like French Canada, right? Sorry, I was like, wait. What?
So Christian is the founder of one of our studios.
Yeah.
We have 8 studios. A couple more, depending on how you define studio, but 8 solid capital S studios under our umbrella, whose games we help bring to North America, like specifically the English-speaking markets.
So each is effectively like it's a publisher that you're now working with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the publishers are... Oh, sorry, Kat.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, so for people who aren't familiar with what games Hachette publishes, what are some that we're going to recognize?
I actually did a press live stream, a private live stream today to press who I haven't met with this year. And I talked for 2 hours about some of our games.
All of the games.
Well, okay, you've practiced, so...
Yeah, so I mean, can you get that down
Off you
to
go.
53 minutes?
You can give us the summary, and then we'd love to hear more about... Obviously, what we brought you on for, too, is let's hear a bit about your marketing specialty. But what are the big games that right now we'd either know or we should know? Look at my lovely selection.
Here's what I prepared
Let me break up my props.
Yeah.
Turing Machine from Scorpion Mask is one of the big ones from this year.
Oh, I just saw that at BGG.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
yeah, it was in the Hot Games room.
I know.
Tribes of the Wind was one of the big things from Essen.
Yeah,
I don't have that one yet.
Everyone's wish list. But our evergreens are Corridor, like a abstract game that is literally older than me. Like it was first published before I was born.
That's what she's trying to say.
Yes, that's exactly what we should infer from that comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, Corridor is awesome. It's been around for
I'm just going to look up how old that is now and tell you if you're right.
I'm pretty sure I am right. That it's not as old as I am.
What year did it come out?
Like 92, 91?
Oh, that's not that long ago.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even going to bother.
I was like 10. Like
I was like, I was in high school.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Was that before you were? Did you say that was before you were born? You're hurting me.
Oh yeah.
That's
It's one year before. I was almost in existence.
And now you're a grown up.
Yeah. See, we have a perfect, like we're all like 10 years apart on this. It's perfect.
There you go.
This is fine. Everything's fine. This is
Ross is commenting that you're from one marketing person to another, that your marketing board game pointing is very well practiced.
Thank you. I'm fortunate that my camera is not mirrored. Otherwise, I would have looked very foolish.
Yeah. So we've got Turing Machine, which is making waves all over the place. We've got
Acropolis was getting a lot of talk too.
Mm-hmm. Acropolis.
I'll start listing your games for you.
Yeah. There's some other really, really big ones over the last couple of years, like Zombie Kids, Zombie Teens.
Nidavellir is one of our...
What did I see pop up randomly? That was one of the little small ones. Oh, I saw the Ole Guacamole pop up randomly on a print the other day. That's one of the... I don't remember what it was, but I'm like, I know that game.
That just released in the US at least.
I think I just saw that at BGG as well.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I played it. Yeah. I think I played it before. It wasn't like an English release yet.
Ben.
withers away into ancient
Oh
dust.
no.
No, we're all beautiful, whatever the hell age we are, people.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's fine.
Ross is helping you do some marketing right now, seeing as
Thank you,
Yeah, you can take the rest of the
you
line.
know,
Just
he's
like
no
this, like-
longer with Steamforge, so he's like playing the free agent right now, I guess. There you go. Thanks, Ross, for the link. That's great. And there's so many things that are under the Hachette umbrella that people just don't know. And again, like I said at the beginning, people just don't know how big a brand it is over in France and then in other French-speaking part of the world. So it's a great thing to have that coming back across, because I know originally Christian and everybody were like, yeah, we make games here, we're Canadian, but the vast majority of our sales are in Europe.
Yeah.
And then now we're getting that cross pollination back into Canada and the United States, which is wonderful. So that's great to see. Good
Do you
stuff.
bring us different games from the ones that you take to Europe? Are we a different audience here in North America? I know I don't sound North American, but you know.
We don't, so of those 8 studios, we don't bring their entire catalogs. We pick and choose what we think works best for the Anglo audience over here. So yeah, our catalogs are different, and our catalogs are even different from Hachette Board Games UK. So it's pretty interesting because we each have our own teams. Yeah, yeah. It makes our customer service inbox a little bit confusing sometimes.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But we figure it out.
So off the top of your head, and if you don't know, then you don't know, but is there something that is in the UK that wouldn't come over to Canada or in America? And if so, why?
Yes, one game at the UK Games Expo, it won Best Party Game or Best Family Game, this sort of genre. It's called Secret Identity by Funny Fox, which is one of our studios. They did Dinner in Paris, which is up there. But we did not bring this over for the US because there's so many of this type of party game over here.
Okay.
So we didn't think that we'd be able to compete, even though it's a pretty interesting concept, and I think it deserved its win. It just wouldn't have the best chance over here.
Doesn't mean it's going to stand out enough here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have certain things are quite flooded, whereas, other things are not as sought after. Actually, that's a good question though, is what are some of the major market differences? So this can kind of lead into, even maybe how you're redirecting stuff, but what's the major difference between, let's say, what North America is doing, what the UK is doing, and then what the, the initial mostly French studios are doing?
This is a question I frequently examine, and the puzzle about it I'm still trying to crack. Because of the dynamic of Hachette having so much under one umbrella, it's hard to juggle everything at once, right? Having one channel to talk about everything, whereas the studios, they have their own catalog. They have only Nidavellir or only 3 games to talk about, so they can kind of juggle that back and forth and really do creative, prolonged marketing campaigns where they focus all of their attention on one title for months. But here I have this, all of this to talk about. So I have to kind of divvy up my time between talking about publishers equally enough and then focusing on our evergreens versus our new releases. So I have like 12 balls that I'm juggling at once, where they only have 3. Not to say that their jobs are easy. It's just a very different strategy.
No, it's a different thought, right? They get to think of the 3 products they're making, but all of them put together give you them. It's like, well, now you have 24 products, right? So yes, it's now up to 2 with 24 products.
Yeah, the Hachette UK has a similar problem, right? Problem, but they're a 3-person team. And they tag team everything. So their social media I find hilarious because one day it'll be Richie in front of the camera, and the next day it's Flavien, and they're goofballs. So they do a lot of skits, which is pretty UK of them, I guess.
It is. It's very like Shut Up, right? Or Monty Python.
Yep.
A long history of skits.
So
like
they find ways to incorporate.
Yeah.
Right. They find ways to talk about a lot of games at once. In a humorous way to kind of attract as much attention as possible.
And you're all by yourself?
Coworkers.
You're like currently.
Yeah.
My Christmas wish is 3 more people.
3 more people.
I have the
How do you
same
keep-
wish. Sorry.
I was going to say, how do you keep yourself kind of motivated and on track and all of those sorts of things without a crew? Are you someone who likes working like in your own little bubble, or do you find other ways of connecting with people that help you sort of stay energized if that's what you need?
So I'm alone, boots on the ground marketing. I have a marketing director who holds my hand when I need it, and like stands me back up when I fall down. And I have 2 coworkers. We have a sales manager, we have a e-commerce Amazon manager, and us 3 who are, on the same level. We work like this. So throughout the day, we're each other's cheerleaders, and we'll have meetings to talk, like align on goals, and help each other achieve those goals. So my coworkers do motivate me a lot.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of people, I just wanted to say hi to George, Amy, Ross, Ilya, Ben Osteen, James Matthias, who I'll get your question on in a second, and Andrew Wolf, who have joined us in the chat. If your name hasn't been said and you're in there watching us, let us know. James Matthias just asked, can someone from the US buy games from the other Hachette catalogs? Is that possible?
Hi, James. Sometimes. You'll probably have to pay an exorbitant amount of shipping, though.
Okay. It's one of those situations. It's just like importing a good, right? So, okay.
Yeah.
And George asks, when you create or license a game, do you build the localization effort into the production plan because you have so many markets, or pick an initial target market and do localization as like phase 2?
This question is a few steps before it gets to my job, but
Right.
I do translation on the
Right.
side, so I can speak to it somewhat. The answer is complicated because it differs per company. One of the companies I translate for, they actually translate everything in-house, and so they create, like, their French games start in French, and then they also make their own English versions, and then they use the English version for localization to other target languages. Other companies will start in English and then license that out to other target languages, but let the target language deal with that themselves.
Yeah.
And so depending on what the format is, the licensing agreements will have different rates and whatnot, depending on who's done the work, right? To pay the translator and to proof the work.
Okay, cool. Hello also to Jim Baker. Jim, I think, has a Kickstarter on right now for EOS Rising, so that's very cool. We have another question from Ross, who asks, do you make marketing assets for both French and English, or do you keep those marketing graphics, assets, etc. separate? Is the audience that different that you need to create new things?
Nope, it is not that different at all. Speaking from a American to French Canadian perspective, I work closely with the French Canadian marketer for the Canada team. And we've started aligning on briefs, like collaborating on briefs for our graphic designers. So we have one vision and then we just write in our respective languages. It's easier for everyone. So, and also because we're trying to unite the brand globally, which sounds like world takeover, but at least this way we're speaking consistently about the games that we share.
You have one voice. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So that actually leads me to a question I had, coming from the perspective of a very small, new to this whole marketing thing, little wee business. I know that the big businesses can afford marketing teams and they can do all, throw all this money at it and have people doing it and things like that. What do you think the most important core thing a new small business should focus on in terms of marketing would be? And how much money should they realistically aim to throw at it? Or of their percentages, or however?
That's a fantastic question. If I can answer it well, I hope it can be helpful too. At several of my positions that I've held for the past decade, they haven't been Hachettes. They've been small family-owned businesses, or at least small North American teams. So I've had to be pretty scrappy. I I can count on less than one hand how many companies I've worked at that actually had marketing budgets.
Also true.
Yeah. So I'd say the most effective thing that you don't need to spend money on, but have a clear value proposition for whatever you're doing. Like have a clear communication, yes, but as part of that, show people why they want your thing or what they're going to get by doing the thing you want them to. Whether that is subscribing to your newsletter. Well, are you going to be sharing exclusive news? Do you offer promo codes? Whatever. Like, what's the cookie? Why?
Mhm.
Why do they want yours specifically? Or why is your game good? What are the selling points? Why is your game different? Why should they buy it? If you have that clear communication, it makes everything else easier. And of course, that philosophy, I guess, will go into the copy that you're making for ads or how you write your newsletters and all the things that will generate money or that you might pay for.
Right. You mentioned copywriting. So do you do a lot of the copy for Hachette?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Our social media, our newsletters, our website, our Amazon pages, everything that I'm actually, I do have one coworker who is our localization expert, but he's the only Anglo in Canada, in the Montreal office. So when Matt is busy, I'm the approved English speaker. So I sometimes will put my stamp, my Danny approval on the Canadian copy as well.
That's awesome.
And just in case people don't know what copy is there a difference between copy and just like text? Like if I write a blog, am I writing copy? Like at what point does it become copy?
I call it copy when there's a marketing spin on it. Okay. Like if I have a Tumblr and I'm live blogging my day or whatever, that's text. If I am incorporating calls to action or links or I guess that's it, right? If I have a goal in mind to sell products or get people to do stuff, that would be marketing copy in my perspective.
Cool.
Why don't we take a step back and actually talk a little bit about what marketing is? So we know the product that you're selling, right? We know the product, right? So what is it now that marketing's doing with this product? What's marketing?
This question has a different answer depending on who you're asking. I think Sen would call it love. But we talked off camera.
Yeah, probably.
My answer is like no jokes. Mine is very similar. Marketing is making an emotional connection with your audience and convincing them, showing them why the product, why it's good for them, why it will make them happy, why they should do something. And the most effective way that I've done that, I've experienced success is by creating those moments, those like connections between the product and the feelings and the person. It's easier said than done, but.
So using your definition of marketing, what's the difference between marketing and advertising?
Ooh, good question.
That is a good question.
Advertising.
Advertising is inherently paid. Marketing doesn't have to be paid, right? Social media, that's just me speaking to people and engaging with them in a conversation back and forth. Advertising are the BGG banners. They're sponsored social media, but with a clear like buy now button. They're even like the advertising that's even sponsored videos too, where you've choreographed the whole experience and put money behind it. But marketing encompasses that as an umbrella, but it also includes some other things too.
I usually think of marketing as like a bigger thing than just the ad buy or whatever, right? Yeah. We have another question. You won't see it because it's on our Facebook page. And Pat Marino, it's a lot of like team op all over the place today. Marketing question for the episode with Danny. What is the most important / effective for creating hype around a new game? For example, existing fan base, persistent market on social media, word of mouth, known designer, art, components, review, timing. What do you find is like that? If you could have one of those things, what would it be?
Oh, just one. Pat listed like 100 things.
I know.
Yeah. And now you just have to remember all of them or just now. and
Yeah.
This is
list them back
cool.
and tell us which one. Rank them by order.
Ranked. Oh man.
Or whatever you're more
I have
comfortable.
words for you. I mean, the right answer is a combination, and it's going to
course.
change depending on what your product is. I'll use Turing Machine as an example of
Perfect.
a really successful marketing thing. Turing Machine has not released yet. It is actually somewhere in America, but not at a warehouse, but it is somewhere. It is not releasing at the end of the month as we wanted it to be decided, but we started marketing it with the Rockstar Christian back at Gathering of Friends in March?
Yeah, that's right.
This year.
April. Mm-hmm.
So the Gathering of Friends is this small, I don't know if exclusive is too big of a word, but it's a small, more private convention with industry peers, professionals. And Christian has gone for a very long time, and he brought a prototype, very early sample of Turing Machine, and he showed it to the other designers, other publishers, even some influencers go. All like hush hush, no pictures, but people played it a lot and got a very early exclusive look. Now, I didn't talk about it publicly until Origins in June, Origins Game Fair, and that's when I started showing it to press, still with prototype, still not final quality or anything. But several people had, by that point, there was a Board Game Geek page with some forum questions and everything, because people were talking. Oh, I played this really amazing game. It has such unique components. I've never seen anything like it. Broke my brain. It's a pure deduction game, just numbers. But there was something different about the presentation. They saw it early and felt special. So it was cool to know about Turing Machine. Then we air freighted in early copies at Gen Con to sell. We brought over the biggest quantity of a game I'd ever brought to Gen Con in my 10 years. And we sold out.
Oh, wow.
Thank goodness we'd allocated for each day. Yeah. Lucky people got some.
Mm-hmm.
But that was August. Now we're in August. And then since then, with the studio, like Scorpion Masqué has a very positive reputation. They have a good fan base. They've been around for a few years, so they've grown it. So it's this perfect storm of, I think, everything Pat listed, right? The timing of communicating, the existing fan base, right? This is a deduction game with pure numbers. So it's unlike Decrypto, the #1 party game on BGG, which is a deduction with words, but same publisher. So there's this trust already in the type of product that they could produce. And then the uniqueness of the product itself was a conversation starter. So people just chatted about it. Hey, did you see this thing? Oh, no, I got to check it out. And then boom. So
yeah, the components are definitely worth talking about. Like the idea of like almost like a punch card system, you know, that in itself is the right kind of gimmick, right? Where it's essential to the game's play, but it'll already make it stand out and be like, I don't know what that is. I need to look at it.
Yeah, I need to experience it.
Well, and the design complexity behind it as well. It was really like when I didn't get to play it, but I went and I had a look and they showed it to me and I was like, how did you get these numbers to work? Because I don't design with numbers. So I was like, how did you get this all to work?
It's like Dobble or Spotted, right? You just kind of wonder, how did you get all those cards to be unique?
Yeah.
It's the
algorithms
at just like a higher level, right? And it's very, very cool. I didn't get to play it at Gathering, but I can't remember who explained it to me. Somebody explained it to me. Oh, did you see this? It's like, oh no, I missed it because we left early because of COVID and the threat and all that kind of stuff. So we left early, but somebody asked me if I played it. It's like, oh, I didn't get to play it. Then they explained it to me, and I'm like, Christian, I need to play this. Still haven't got to play it, but that's COVID for you. But yeah, it's the kind of thing that gets your juices flowing. Like you just start thinking about how could this work? And for those of you who don't know, Turing Machine is this thing where it's envelopes and punch cards and not really like slidey things, and I don't even know. So windows show up and numbers and windows, and
you're basically you take a guess and then you get a sheet, and that sheet tells you how close your guess is, and then you take another guess. and that the next and it sort of helps you gradually. I don't know how this works, it's magic, but it gradually figures out from your guesses. Like, it helps you get closer to it. You are only guessing 3 numbers, and somehow these sheets that you put in these components know what you're doing, and they know how to get you closer to it, and it's pretty cool.
Scary.
For me, being
Magical.
a non-maths, that is magic. I mean,
Math.
like,
Math magicians. That's how.
Yes, Ben. Yes.
Yeah.
So
You understand.
the 2 designers,
Andrew,
they're working on designer diary, and they're French. They're both French, so I was going to translate it. And I just asked for an update last week because we're approaching kind of the release date. And the marketing manager for Scorpion, she was like, I think you're going to need more than 3 days to translate it because they're not done and it's already 40 pages long.
Oh my god!
They wrote like a whole manuscript.
It's their
like,
manifesto.
can you please edit it?
Well, maybe most of it's numbers.
It's just all their algorithms.
Yeah, hopefully it's just all numbers, and you can just be like, okay, so showing working.
You're like, page 1 to 2 is valid. Everything else is appendix.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's too funny. So, hey, Danny, do you view conventions as marketing?
I do. Right. Are you laughing at George, Kat?
Yes, I am.
Are the humans dead? The humans are dead.
George has just commented in binary.
Well, I mean, that's very Flight of the Conchords-ish. That's a New Zealand connection, maybe.
I think the best way to understand the difference between marketing and advertising is if you think of marketing like the message you're trying to get out there, and advertising as like a specific vehicle in which to put out said message. But that way, you can think of one as being more formal, whereas one is kind of like the thought behind it all.
Yeah. And so the reason why I asked this is because I have this common, not argument, but discussion with publishers trying to get them to come to Canadian conventions. They go, well, we have to make it up in sales. I said, well, what if it was part of your marketing line and your budget?
Which you should have, but as we just discussed, they don't.
Exactly. This is why I laughed when you said that. It's like, but we don't have that. It's like, well, maybe you should, right? Just because it's like, I view marketing as markets. Like, I'm breaking into a new market. I'm using this budget line to advance my presence in this market somehow. And
I want these people to know who I am.
Yeah, I think the ability to travel to conventions and get people foot on the ground at conventions, touching the game, whether or not they can buy it or not, buying at a convention to me is like gravy. And if I can pay for this whole thing by selling stuff, awesome. And that's great. And most people can, at some level, cover a lot of their expenses through this. But it's a different line. It should be a different budgetary line. Like, I really think that presence at conventions is marketing. So that's why I wanted to ask you, in your opinion, do you think that a lot of publishers are missing out by not seeing it as marketing and seeing it more as sales?
Yes, I completely agree with you. And this goes back to what I said earlier about my marketing being focused on making connections, emotional connections between the person and the game. And what better way to do that than physically, face-to-face in person, presenting your game, right? There's so many reasons why the industry is so close with our peers, is because we see each other at conventions, because we talk to people, right? Not to say I'm the face of Hachette, but like, I'm doing a live stream talking about our games, and now people like people generally.
They like recognition, right?
Yeah.
It's like that has a face now, right? It's your face, right? But otherwise, there's no recognition, and recognition is super key to purchase, by the way, folks.
Yeah. And you're a point of contact now, right? So if they see you across the the floor at the convention, they go, oh, that's Danny. She's with Hachette, and I can go get these things or talk about these things.
I'm going to go check out what's at that booth now.
Yeah.
This extends to like not just running demos at your booth, the booth experience. So that is important. Oh, Amy.
That's what I said.
Amy's
too.
awesome. Speaking of Amy, there's something going on. I think I'm lost for words about it though. I don't know what to say.
Oh, her new Kickstarter.
That's
Yeah.
cute.
So there you go. Check out Amy's stuff too.
Yeah.
Doing a little
That's
marketing for you,
today or
Amy.
tomorrow or something, right? It's like really soon.
Let us know
Is
in the
it-
chat.
Yeah,
What
pop
else?
your link in, Amy.
She's like, yeah, that's funny. A little free marketing never hurt anybody.
Yeah.
So back to conventions. So Danny, at a convention,
Yes.
how are you marketing? Like, what are you doing different than, say, a sales manager or a designer or the CEO or whatever? What are you doing different because you're marketing?
Yes. So the sales, sometimes they are running the sales counter because we're small teams. But their main responsibilities are deciding which products to actually ship to the show, right? Which old product they want to move. What are we doing sales for? How much of the new stuff can we bring? Are we shipping it straight from the factory, or are we just working with what we have? That's all their stuff. Once I know what we're going to have, I can market it by incentivizing people to play it, either by having the designers on the booth to sign it or meet and greets. I'm organizing all of the events to create those memories and connections. So trying to make creative, unique experiences. I have some ideas for this Gen Con, so I'm excited
wait.
to
Have
reveal
ideas.
them. Marketing, that's also my time to connect with press in person and demo the games. Just as if I would demo to our consumers, I'm curating this experience around a game. I want a company representative to be their first experience with a new game, so that they learn the rules correctly. So they're like
They play
that
right.
roadblock. Yeah, they play right, so that there's no like resentment over a rule that they missed, or they don't
good
get their
point.
review wrong.
Yeah, so
because of the
people don't
mistake.
know that is a common unfortunate gripe is that, you send review copies out. People don't always play things 100% right. And then you worry, like, if they not only talk about a rule wrong, but how much did that influence what they thought of the game? You're like, at least if I know you played it right and you liked it or you didn't, it's because you played the game right, right?
And they're teaching it potentially incorrectly as well. And then you've got more people playing it wrong and more people being like, oh,
Yes.
yeah, this game's not what I want. And then it turns out that it's just because they got the rule wrong.
They played it wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you feel like a dingus going on the YouTube video saying like, by the way,
That's not the rule, right?
Did you know?
Dingus.
Well,
Is that
actually,
like a formal term that you use in marketing? Like, I don't know that word. Dingus.
I have other words I could have used, but
It's funny. So James in the chat is saying he had never heard of Hachette until you joined, which is I think a really powerful way of saying connection matters. I think people who you're connected to, whether it's from previous jobs or just because you're personable, and people can reach out to you, that you're already of value to the company because now more people know about the company through you. And Amy is saying that Lost for Words launched today, and that she'll see some of us at PAX, which is great. And go to lostforwords.cards, and there you go. You can find out all about her new game, Lost for Words, and find its way to the Kickstarter for that game as well. So excellent stuff there. All right. So conventions, you'll be at PAX, correct? And Erica will be at PAX, correct?
Yep.
And I will not, because I will be invigilating exams as a proctor. That's what I do at that time of year. So I proctor a whole bunch of exams. And Kat, you're going to be on the West Coast doing West Coast stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's where PAX Prime happens. It's on the West Coast. So
I know.
you can always go to PAX Prime. Hey, you mentioned something, Danny, in your email to me about communication scheduling. What is that? And like, that sounds like work.
Tell us why.
Oh, sometimes my job is work, It's not all fun and games. This is a lot to do with juggling our 50-something games, right? Some people, well, there's two layers to this topic. One is scheduling your communications to fans on newsletters and BGG, social media, anywhere you're trying to reach your fans. But there's also communications to your professional partners like retailers, distributors, press, even designers, right? So there's two things to talk about. You pick first.
Cat, you pick.
Oh, the second one.
Okay. So communication, I like doing phases of communication. And it typically goes in this order with designers, the other D, distributors being the first people you talk to with a sell sheet, with the overall like paragraph or two of your game, and dimensions, weight, SKU, barcode, all the boring info that's found on the back of the box. You let them know. They put it in their system, either up for pre-order or not. But this way they have the information. They are primed to capture and solicit as many sales as possible. So once they're prepared, you can move on to retailers and do basically the same stuff. Hey, we're announcing a game soon. Just want to give you the heads up so when your customers ask about it, you're not blindsided and you can accept the order. You already know what distributors have it, so you can immediately place your orders. Then you can talk to press. Now, I like talking to press close-ish to when I talk to my fans so that the press have time, but not exactly the same time, so that the press have time to make their announcements, blog posts, videos, social posts, whatever. I usually give them a day or two heads up, just as common courtesy. And I'll put a time, like a embargo. I'll put an embargo.
I was wondering about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is not even for like a licensed super official game. It's just like, hey, I'm not announcing this to my audience until this date at generally this time. Please do not steal my thunder. That's how that goes. And then let's say that's Monday, then on Wednesday, I'll make my post to my fans saying, this game is available to order now. Go do it, either from your local game store or here's a pre-order link, whatever. But at this point, everyone who has helped support our game knows about the game and is prepared to the best of their platform to accept orders.
Nice.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Get everything all lined up and then...
Mm-hmm. Because I used to work at a game store in college. And there was one time we got a phone call from someone. Hey, do you have blah, blah, blah game? And I'm like, nope, we sure don't. And my coworker was like, it's on pre-order. Please don't do that. So yes, communication is very important for everyone, right? Because
Yes,
I just told a customer, nope, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want your money. Thanks. Go buy it somewhere else.
No sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've lived that same story. That's why I was like,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Social media, that's the other part
Mhm.
of the question. And I'm currently workshopping how I want to handle juggling the 12 balls in the air to talk about to like balance politics by making sure each studio is represented equally, fairly, and
So
talking
your
about the
messaging
games.
doesn't support, one more than the other.
Right, because of course I have favorites. I prefer some games over others, but I need to talk about all of them fairly. I have to
How do
check
you
my own
track that?
biases.
How do you track that?
I have a very color-coded spreadsheet.
Cat's
So
favorite words. Spreadsheet.
I have a cell, like a key that tracks the color of each studio. And so then I'll write the name of the game of the studio in my social media calendar spreadsheet that I've made. So I know of like, oh, this month was 12 days of green. Oh, let's probably talk about a different studio. Just swap it around.
Awesome.
Do you do a lot of like bulk scheduling of posts on social media and things and letting them go? Like, do you schedule quite a long time in advance, or do you have like an hour a week when you prepare your posts and you only do it weekly, or like how far out do you do that?
So my spreadsheet of ideas and my sandbox, basically, I have announcement dates outlined, like penciled in for all of next year, based on our ideal shipping timeline. Like I work backwards. Here's when I'm announcing it. Here's the release date. So I know I won't schedule over those and then shorten my timeline. That works best for me. In terms of scheduling the actual posts, I do it week by week because I found when I try to do it further than that, social media is so reactive that I eventually I inevitably have to change
it
my
anyway.
scheduled posting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh,
Exactly.
I'm making more work for myself.
But at least you can post, get scheduled whatever it is you're going to be advertising that week for various studios.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
How do you feel about memes for engagement?
For engagement, yes, they work quite a lot, but at what cost?
Yes.
This was a request I've heard from several higher ups at various positions. This meme, look, there's so many people reacting to it. I'm like, yes, but are we the meme brand? Our voice so far has been kind, warm, and professional.
Is that how we communicate? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place. And so I acknowledge those claims. Yes, they are highly effective at engagement. How well they retain customers and entice sales, I don't know, because they're just there for a laugh. There's no call to action. There's nothing except for, you said the thing. Haha, great.
I mean, it keeps your page showing up when someone's scrolling, but is that the type of showing up you want? And I guess that's brand specific, isn't it?
And it's also platform specific. I think memes are fine on some platforms, like TikTok. There's trends, right? Audio trends, gimmick trends, like that's very appropriate. And the point of the platform is to kind of get sucked into those rabbit holes of following the trend and in your favorite like viral sensation. Twitter too is a very fast moving platform, so you can get away with doing memes more frequently without losing your brand voice. Especially because so many of those like Twitter, like in Twitter memes, they're text based. So it's not like you have to create a whole new, like disrupt your graphic, your visual representation. Facebook and Instagram, they're slower moving. Like Instagram, you have your grid feed. So then that's going to show up forever.
It's going to stay there.
Yeah.
It just stays there.
Yeah.
Right. That's an interesting way of looking at it. I've never really thought about just how fast some of those things move. And, you don't want to be the villain of the day on Twitter, but it's only a day. But you're going to get roasted for that whole day.
And then it's something else.
And then something else pops up. We have a message here from James Takanaka from Hit Point. Darn, I missed the beginning of the interview. Have to watch later so I can figure out how Hachette is structured. Studios?
It is indeed studios.
Yes, you are correct.
We own 2 of them, and the 2 that we own distribute ones below that, and others we just localize. So the studio, like umbrella with Hachette as the little tippy top of the umbrella and the studios as the prongs, that's the basic metaphor.
Okay, very cool. So we've got through communication scheduling. We've done some stuff on con prep and marketing in general. I'm going to open the questions. Oh, here we have another question. Ben Osteen says, have you thought about how to approach a federated social system like Mastodon for marketing? It already feels like a different way to interact. That's a great question with the weirdness that's going on Twitter. A lot of people are moving over to Mastodon.
Platforms, yeah.
Yeah. There's been a huge tentative migration to Mastodon, right? I think people are putting one foot in both doors, waiting for Twitter to collapse. Yeah.
Is it another Clubhouse?
Right.
Yeah.
You don't know. Everyone jumps on board, but it doesn't mean that it says staying power, right? Like what's bringing me back every day.
I actually like Clubhouse, and I still think it's an interesting thing. It's just, it's time, right?
Mastodon is the most topical example. It's a weird one, though. I haven't quite figured out how Mastodon works. So I have a Mastodon, and I made a Mastodon account for Hachette But because mastodons are server based, each with their own rules, the one I'm in, it like disincentivizes marketing. It disincentivizes companies participating, and that's fine. They're like community building, community management. You can do like those grassroots community based efforts. Like that's what the subreddit Our Board Games is all about.
Mhm.
But it takes a lot of time and effort. So it's not really viable for marketing. Some of the Mastodon servers were like, here's a list of a dozen rules. Don't spam your own stuff. Like you have to engage with X people. And the last rule was, even if you follow all these rules, we may still deactivate your account.
So it's kind of like you're here if we feel like
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
James has a good point. He says Mastodon makes me feel excluded from a lot of the communities where on Twitter I feel included.
yeah,
Right.
it's very true. So Ben, I have thought about it, but I don't see a successful route yet.
It depends on how, as you said, like the users end up engaging with it specifically. So if they're there to chat and no one's looking at it as a company engagement platform, it won't do well with that anyway, because that's not how people
Yeah.
intend to use it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the most viable solution I thought of was making a company server on Mastodon. But I was like, how much fun will that be? Would people
Yeah.
actually join that? You'd have to put in a lot of work to make it a community, like a bustling. You'd have to make topics, kind of like Facebook groups, right?
Reason to
The really
hang
good
out
ones.
there, or, most people I think would need some sort of giveaways to get in there anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. What do you think of like Discord for communities? Can you do marketing in there? Is that kind of a no-no to market to like your community that's sort of captive? Or is that what they bought in? Is that what they bought in for by accepting
I
this,
would think they'd
Discord?
expect it. Like if you're in somebody's
I
Discord,
guess.
they're running the ship, right? I
Mhm.
would expect that the main channel will obviously have the major announcements that the company wants known.
I
Yeah.
beat George to the punch. He's like, it seems like this is Jason and it's challenges for marketing perspective. Gotcha.
So I actually love Discord for marketing,
Oh, cool.
especially with some of the bots that exist. I was very proud of the Discord I built in my last position. There's ways to make it fun and still accomplish your goals. I viewed it more as a combination of my newsletter. So every time I'd announce something, I would tag everyone, basically put the same stuff as I did in my newsletter, even links, sales, events, whatever. If there was an opportunity to engage with the company, I post it in Discord. I had what do you call it? A channel list for each game. But then I also had some fun ones like here, pet, give me your pet pics, please. Here, the
Right.
pet.
This is where you can put
pet
memes.
Yeah,
Like
that's where
memes,
you
put
can
them
put
here.
memes.
Yeah.
I made roles, custom roles for our Discord for each type of game. So then this is another like non-invasive opt-in solution. So if someone wanted Ole Guacamole, where is it? Ole Guacamole notifications, they would get the avocado role, and I would just tag, "Hey avocados, you can get Ole Guacamole now." With emojis, like there was ways to like flaunt your fan status of specific games and engage with how
Right.
you wanted to.
Sort of like all the micro badges on BGG and whatnot. A little
Mm-hmm.
more personal, a little more. That's my game. That's the one I really
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny. We have a person in the chat saying that they used to follow you in one of your previous roles and hasn't used Discord since.
Oh.
And was just going to ask about a Discord for Hachette because maybe they would go back to using Discord if there was one. So,
Oh,
are
that
you?
makes me
Do you
happy.
have one planned? Apparently, you ran a tight ship.
Nice. uh, we it exists and it will eventually be promoted. We're making it through PAX. We're just we're doing one thing at a
It's
time.
the
That thing.
next thing.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is like if you can get a community going,
That's
in a
both it.
Discord, it's one of those things where like people do check in daily
Mm-hmm.
because that's that type of user. Like the people who are casual are not Discord users.
Yeah.
That's just not the thing. right?
The only thing with Discord that I find is you're either a Discord user or not a Discord user.
Because
And
it is a
if
daily
you
thing.
it really is very like you're either this or I'm not a Discord user. And so when people only use Discord, I feel completely excluded because I really
Cut
don't like
off.
how hard it is to actually get out of Discord and how like the camera and the mic stay on and all this. So no, not for me. And that means that people who use that channel exclusively are exclusive as well, as in they're excluding a
I
bunch
find
of
that
us
about a
who
lot of things, right? That like you pick your channels or your
Mm.
vehicles and you ride them to death. And the other ones, you're like, I've never taken a drive on Mastodon, and I've never, flown on Discord Airlines or whatever. Just don't use those vehicles. But
But
yeah,
Discord is definitely popular in the game
yeah.
industry. Like it is a very, and I understand that you would want to focus on it. It makes a lot of sense.
And I did not like it at first, to be completely honest, because it was just another thing to check. But
Mhm.
now that there's so many things that I'm on Discords for, it's like, it's just another thing to check. And it's just like that.
Don't
I just
type
set
a
it to my
chat
first.
server. That's
Yeah, I
got
just put it as
extras.
my default homepage on like Chrome, and then Chrome starts up because it starts up whenever I start my computer, and then Discord is just right there. And it's just like mail for me now, I guess. But there's a lot of really cool things you can do in Discord, like Danny was saying, with all the bots and whatnot. Like, so one day we'll have to get Danny to run like a master class on how to build Discord as a marketing or a community building tool. So I think that'd be really cool.
After PAX, when I'm actually making our Hachette Discord server public, I'm happy to tell you what bots I'm doing and how I'm setting it up.
Cool.
That actually leads me into another small business question. How do you decide how to delegate certain things like that when you're a one-person show? In our case, we're a two-person show. So George has Discord, for example. Like, absolutely not me at all. We share some other things, but how do you make those decisions?
Are you asking specifically for social media or just across the board?
Across the board, like are there things that you should take into account when you're choosing who's going to handle what aspects of marketing, for example?
I think this answer applies to just jobs in general. Who enjoys the task the most? Who is most skilled at it? And who has enough time to do a good job? For example, with my marketing, I was spending 6 hours a week just doing customer service, like parts and pieces, shipping them, following up with the warehouse and whatnot. I was not having fun. I did not have time. And sure, I could do it really well, but so could other people. So we actually hired a part-time person to take over those 6 hours a week so that I could do other things that they couldn't.
It's a waste of your time if, as you said, like someone not trained could do what was taking, almost a whole day.
For social media specifically, my teammate T, who handles all of our sales, so social media is under my purview. However, we have a Facebook group for retailers. And I was like, T, I am giving this to you because you have all of the answers. These are your customers. I do not need to be in charge of this because I would just be going to them for the content.
Yes.
What do you want to talk about this week? No. You just say it yourself in your own words on your own time.
That makes sense.
So we have a bunch of people here. It's like, say, I would pay for that Discord class and Danny marketing masterclass. And yes, please. So we've got a bunch of people out here like, hey, that would be a good
if you want to give people like kind of like Discord 101 and some of the fun things you can make it do, I'm sure there's a lot of people interested.
Yeah.
I see that George has put his hand up for that, so
yeah.
I don't need to.
We're more than
But I
willing
might
to help
watch
you
anyway.
do that if you want, like, Danny. That's cool. So yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff out there that I think marketing is such an elusive beast to people, especially people who may be a little more introverted, who don't necessarily like to talk about themselves and all this kind of stuff. Learning from other people who may be a little quiet themselves in personal life, but are really good at marketing. And when they're talking about a product or a service or a thing or an event, they kind of become alive in that situation. And I think that's really cool. That we have a lot of people who are out there looking for that kind of help and support with running communities, community management, marketing, all those types of things to make those connections that we kind of talked about at the beginning of the show. So important. Hey, it is literally 5 seconds before show end. That is remarkable because I have so many more questions for you and so many more things to talk about, but we cannot monopolize your time. So we'll have to catch up in 2023, maybe after PAX and after Danny's built this new Discord and after Danny's done all this stuff. And
Could be a whole episode just on Discord. Since it's
Literally.
visual,
That's
you could
actually
go
a
through
really good
it.
idea.
I'm down.
That's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
really good idea.
that'd be great because we can do all the screen sharing and stuff here, and we can show
You
it
got
all
it.
and let you show your screens. And I think that'd be very helpful for a lot of people. So, on that note, Danny, where can people find you?
Not on Mastodon yet.
No?
I'm most active on Twitter. I'm Danny Below, like not above, but below. And I have a website, danniloe.com, which has
Okay.
that link and some of my past work that you can see.
All right. And I do have to ask, does your middle name start with a B? Because that would be super cool.
It does
Oh,
start
it
with a
is.
B.
There you go. I knew it. I knew it. And that's Danny's website. And I think Ross already posted this, but this is the site for HachetteBoardGames.com. Kat, where can people find you?
At Dreyer Inc. on all the things except for Mastodon, but I have a plan.
There's a plan. All right, Erica, where can people find you?
Yeah, if Erica Bouiris, you'll probably find me.
Except on Mastodon.
I'm not on it yet. I peaked, but I was like, I got enough stuff, guys.
Yeah, I am non-Mastodon as well currently. Because as you know,
Don't make me do more things. That's all
I
I
am old,
ask.
and I also don't like to look at anything. So, Senfeng Lim on everything. Erica and I have the, I don't know if it's the proud. I don't know if we're proud of this, but we are literally the only people with our names in the world, I think.
Oh yeah, we're like, I don't think you find someone else.
You're not going to find a Senfeng
Oh.
Lim. You're not spelled this way. It's actually spelled incorrectly. So that's what happens with transliteration from non-Chinese speaking people. So there you go. When the people who write your passports write your name for you, that's what happens. So on to finish that off, we are heading into the end of the year. We are therefore preparing for next con season. If you want to help us do more stuff at cons, we're going to get out there 100% this time. I know we said that this whole year's been a little messed up, but we've already got some stuff in the works. Breakout Con happening in March. So March break of 2023. Myself, probably Erica, probably Alara. We're going to be at Breakout Con in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and we will be live streaming from that place. Erica and I will probably be doing Ludology. Alara and I will probably be doing Meeple Syrup. Danny, you're like honorary Canadian now.
Oh, yeah. I'm up in Montreal a couple times a year.
I know. You should come to Breakout in Toronto. It'd be super awesome to have you. March break. So it'd be like March 21st or something.
I think
sometime
it's
around
the
there.
teens. Yeah, whatever.
Oh,
that
you're right.
weekend
I
is.
think it's earlier this year. Yeah.
Did your lights just flash?
I don't know. Did they?
Danny?
Whose?
Did something just happen? Never mind.
No.
Sorry. It looked like your lights went on and off. And I was like,
Oh, no.
spooky.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
Mondo, I'll be at PAX.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all can find both Danny at probably a Hachette booth, probably,
Mhm.
and then Erica. Is there
I'm
a Steam booth?
wandering.
No, you're
No.
freelance. You're
I'm-
free range, Erica.
Yeah, I'm either looking for people to want to show me prototypes or to go play games, so I know what's out there because that's kind of my job too.
Right, yeah. So if you have prototypes that might be good for mass market through Spin, check out.
You got
Erica.
family stuff. Oh my god, guys! Can I say how
Yeah.
hard it is to find
Kids
family
and family
stuff?
games. There you go.
And we've talked about this before, but I'll say it again. The minimum print run on a family game is usually 50,000 units. Can
50,000.
somebody please bring me those lovely, lovely family games? I would love to see them. Thank
Yeah.
you.
50,000 copies of them. Awesome. So you can go to patreon.com/Meeple Syrup and you can help us keep the lights on here with all our software, and whatever's left over goes to people out there. We're going to try to get people to conventions where we're at and get their registration. Speaking of which, Protospill North is happening at the end of the month here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. If you want a free entry pass to that as a designer, which is I think like probably $25, I think, for the weekend. I can't remember. But if you want it for free, you can watch last week's episode when two of the organizers were on the show, and you can tell me on DM me on Facebook what flavor of drink I had. It was weird.
They're all weird, said.
Yeah, but this one was pretty weird too. It was a flavor that I thought would be good, and it just was weird.
Uh-oh.
So I can show you. The can is still here, just so you can see it here. I won't say it out loud, but I don't know.
Which character did you drink? Which character? Oh, you got Vegeta.
Vegeta, and it's this flavor.
Is he veggie flavor?
No, that would make sense. You can't see it because it's a little bit grainy. It's ice cream flavor sparkling water.
That sounds disgusting.
It wasn't good.
Because that sounds like, I don't know. I won't say what that. No, don't worry about it. It sounds disgusting.
All right. So, Danny, what's your final advice to people about marketing, about anything that you want to talk about? Final advice.
It all boils down to respecting people's time. And I'll explain. My whole timeline of communication is to respect people's time and effort in their own professions. My clear communications to our fans is to respect their time, to not make them search for links, to not make them Google, what the hell is she talking about? Like, what is this game, right? Clear communication, timely communication, all is encompassed by that goal.
Excellent. So clearly communicate, respect everybody's time. And that's something, we as the designers always talk about not only the publishers who we pitch to, but the players who are playing the games. It's respect their time. It's valuable, right? And they're giving up of their time to do something. Cool. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Boom. Look at all the things we can have on at once now, Erica. It's just like a whole new world. Right? All right. So you're going to see that on Solo. Next week, coming Nicole Amato from Kickstarter. She is part of the games outreach team. So if you have any questions about games outreach on Kickstarter, Nicole is your gal. On November 30th, we have Ming Yang Liu coming on. He's the designer of React, which is a PvP game about mastering characters fighting on a grid that, the art style dictates their powers. It's really cool. I played it on a screencast.gg version just last week. On December 7th, host panel coming up, topic to be determined. But Kat's going to be here for all of these. So maybe, Kat, you can pick the topic, or we can just grill you about Tabletop Network and your first time at BGGCon. You can also do that. And then December 14th is our guest to be determined. So out there in Meeple Syrup Land, if you have people you want us to talk to, Kat, if you have somebody that you love to talk to as your final kind of test run as a guest host that you've never talked to and really want to talk to, we've got some clout. We can probably get them. So let us know, everybody. All right. So we'll see you guys soon. Thank you, Danni Loe, for coming on. And we will see everybody next week, same time, same Meeple Syrup channel. Bye, all.